Welcome to At the Table.
where we are connecting entrepreneurs, discovering missions, and building communities with purpose, body, soul, mind, and business with
Charlie,
and Heather.
with Women in Leadership.
Hello and welcome back to the table. We're so excited to have with us an amazing guest today here to talk with us about our mindset around nutrition.
Ooh.
And sharing her heart and soul with us today is our new and dear friend, Shelly Najjar?
Najjar, yeah.
Najjar. Yes. I like when I say things correctly. So Shelly, let's go ahead and start with you sharing with the world what it is you do and why.
Sure. So officially, like on my bio and stuff, it says that I help women with a lot going on to develop a healthy and joyful relationship with their food so that they can have peace with themselves and their bodies at any size. And so,
Boom.
yeah.
Nice.
So what I do is it's kind of that in a nutshell, but really helping us to focus on our internal cues rather than all that external rules and expectations.
Yeah.
And I just love it because, you know, there's so much burden that's put on us. And I've had personal experience and professional experience around coming to that point of realizing that this isn't working the way that we're normally doing things and trying to find something better. And since I've decided that, there's been so many other women who have been in similar positions, right? As far as the mindset goes, but like, I've tried everything and I want to do something different, but I don't know. And so maybe I'll just resign myself to trying one more time and probably failing at it again. And then getting to be going alongside them and saying, no, actually, look, there's something different. And it's what you've always been dreaming of. And it actually feels a whole lot better than that. And it helps you with your whole life. And just seeing that transformation and like the opening up of what's possible is so exciting to me. That's kind of my why. It's like, wow, to be able to be a part of somebody's life, like life moving forward, right? Because this is not just something you do and then you're done with. It's like, this is something that will affect the rest of your life moving forward. And somebody is inviting me to be a part of that journey for them. And that is so incredible. That's my why.
Oh, that is incredible.
I got goosebumps just hearing you say that, like, because our whys and why we do what we do is so strong. And
it's important to connect to because that keeps us going on, as many business ladies know, on those rough days, right? Like we have to be connected to that inner piece of us of why we're doing what we're doing. It's exciting. So you started out at, 8th grade, like doing a science fair thing about nutrition. And then you went to school and became a nutritionist and you tried to work in the hospital setting, if I got that correct.
Correct. Yeah.
And then you're like, this is not. Nobody's being helped. I'm being drained. This is awful. And then you created your own thing. You kind of went out on a limb and you found, what did you find?
Yeah. So I found that food and health are just more attainable when we have fewer food restrictions. And that is based on what I now know is called intuitive eating. At the time, I didn't really understand that because as we were talking in pre-interview, it was just like this thing that I kind of knew from growing up and just understanding that like my family's foods aren't bad just because they're not on somebody's list of like approved allowed foods. But somehow if we were going by like the tradition, the like Western medicine, like more hospitalized, medicalized system of that, like, no, there are certain approved foods that we can eat and certain disapproved foods that we can't eat and would make us a bad person. And instead of just taking all of that, like throwing it out,
making you a bad person. Ooh, rough mindset.
right, it's like guilt and shame associated with food.
Yes.
If I eat this, I'm a bad person. Ooh, yuck. And then you feel like yuck because you thought that, right? Like that creates a cycle.
Yeah. And then it just gets worse, right? Because I just ran this body neutrality journaling challenge, and one of the pieces that we were exploring is like when you feel better about yourself, like when you're not stuck in the negative thought process around your body and what it looks like and how it feels and all of these things, and you have more kindness towards yourself, how much more willing will you be to take care of someone that you feel kind toward? Right? Like if we are feeling so icky about ourselves and so like shamed about what we're eating, that's not going to lead to better eating in the long run. That's just going to lead to more hiding it or more like binge and restrict cycles, right? It's not going to lead to anything permanent and lasting and sustainable like we all dream of having. It's just going to be the opposite, like a drudgery.
I'm curious to know more about the concept behind intuitive eating.
Yeah. It's such a misunderstood concept in general. I think there's a lot of people who have a lot of myths around it and then dismiss it really quickly. So the way, like at the most basic core of it, I usually explain it as tuning into our internal cues rather than our external rules. So there's a process, like officially there's 10 principles of intuitive eating. And if anyone's curious about this, there's a really good resource on this called Intuitive Eating by Elise Rash and Evelyn Tribbley. And they are kind of the authors who, I guess, codified sort of this process of eating, which is our normal way of eating and being around food. Like we're all born with it, but it gets taught out of us. And so it's this return to the way that we all were just born to eat. And one of my colleagues explained it really well. She said, I'm paraphrasing here because I can't remember the exact quote, but she said something along the lines of like, if we hadn't messed up food so badly and like the idea of food so badly, then intuitive eating would just be eating. And it's that concept of like, can we unlearn all this stuff that we've learned incorrectly about food and the way we interact with it and the way we interact with ourselves, and go back to like, let's just make it simple and nourishing and fun. Like food can be satisfying just now and after we eat. Like it actually can be a fun, enjoyable experience. And it doesn't have to mean that you can enjoy your food or be healthy. Like I think a lot of us, and including like if you start talking about intuitive eating with people, they'll be like, oh, that's just permission to eat anything at any cost to your health. And you're like, well, no. Also, we don't owe you our health, and we don't, we have permission. We have unlimited permission to eat anything. Yes, we do at any time. And at the same time, if you truly have unconditional permission to eat, you won't always use it for cookies and ice cream and all of that, because once some of that like off limits nature of it gets taken away, it's not as appealing. And maybe at the beginning it will be, but in the end, like as we adjust to that new way of thinking, right, our mindset changes, and as we adjust to that, then we'll start realizing like actually the more satisfying thing in this moment will be something different. And maybe that's food, maybe it's a non-food coping strategy, maybe it's something different. Like there's a whole like world of possibilities that opens up to you when food is not your only thing that you're going for, when food is not this off limits or evil thing that you're going for, that you have to make up for or earn. Like food is a basic human right. It's a need. We would defend that for other people, but we don't often do that for ourselves. We would say instead like, oh, well, I ate this thing and I have to go make up for it. I have to earn it now. I was allowed to eat this thing because I was so good, or because I ran a marathon or whatever. Like, it's not this like pay now and then pay later also. No, it's just food, right? Like let's just make it just food again.
So the thought that keeps coming up to me is like, why do we use food as a source of rewards and punishments?
Whoa, that's a big one.
Right.
And I'm sure that has a lot of different ways that we can go with it. I am not I'm by training a dietitian and a certified intuitive eating counselor, but I'm not a mental health counselor. And so I often work with mental health counselors to help my clients to make even more progress faster. And so that would be a great question to explore with the person who's helping you in that area. I mean, some around me, yes, I can help in some aspects of that, but like if we're going into the deep parts of like trauma response and, you know, adaptive coping strategies and things like that, like that's partly where mental health healing can really benefit you in terms of the eating world and your health and how you're caring for yourself, right? And then just like in a high level thinking, like maybe apart from those major things, or like maybe intertwined with them, right? The pieces that I can look at, you know, I often see stress or boredom coming into play. Like these are just things that you do when you have these things. Like this is your coping strategy, right? Like we all have them, and sometimes it's eating or sometimes it's something else. And it's, if that's the only thing that we have in that coping toolbox, then it can be very helpful to explore other strategies. If it's one of many, right, and we're going to them sometimes, like that's okay, right? If there's nothing wrong with eating for emotional reasons or eating because we're stressed or because we're bored or whatever. But if it's our only one, if it's the only coping strategy, then we sometimes have these issues that can come up, like secondary issues that can come up because of that, right? Because you're also not treating the stress or the underlying issue underneath. So
You're just masking
You're
it
just
and
masking
you're
it.
burying it. That leads to more issues. We've been reading You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay, and I can totally see how this intuitive eating and changing your mindset would change your relationship with food. Like and I think if you, like, we've been talking about like healing our relationships with ourselves, like
how we talk to ourselves affects so many things. And I believe that how I feel about myself directly affects how I eat. Because if I feel like crap, I don't eat good, right? I eat like crap. You know, that's when I go to the excess amounts of, you know, sugar and carbs and things like that, which are fine when I'm enjoying them in correct quantities because I enjoy them. But when I turn to them for comfort or something like that, that's when I start to get in trouble. You know, and it doesn't, when you feel bad and you eat bad, then you feel worse, and it's like it's just
cycles, like
going, but
spinning in circle. Like,
so one of the things I've been working on is my awareness around my food, and I've been doing that for years. Is like, why am I drawn to eat this right now? Can I choose something different? And a lot of the times it's like, I have a sweet tooth, I want something sweet. So instead of grabbing you know, some junk food, I'll grab an apple or banana. They're sweet, they satisfy those cravings, and it's a healthier option. Not always, sometimes I still go for the junk food, let's be honest, but I try to be aware of the things that I put in my body because it directly affects how I feel about myself and my energy levels in general.
My healing process over the last couple of years, that I've been doing a period of allowing, because I don't know what I can digest now and what I can't digest now, and what's going to make me feel good and what's not, because I could only eat so little for so long. And so now I'm coming around to this point where I'm really assessing when I sit down to eat, like, okay, how am I going to feel when I'm done? Like, is this going to drain me? Is this going to make me feel energized? So I've been kind of looking at that, and then like assessing, okay, I don't know. So being aware of what it does at the end, because of a lack of awareness, like, and I noticed that I've already seen a shift. It's weird.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's where I start with my clients too, is like this neutral awareness or neutral observation piece of it. It's like, let's just go like we were an artist or a scientist, and we're separating the analysis from the actual observation and data collection, right? So we're going to look at it first, and then we can say, what do we think happened here? You know, instead of being like, oh, this is a bad food, and so then everything gets filtered through that lens of like bad food. And then of course, we're going to interpret all this stuff based off of that. And then that can even cause other problems. Like if we get so stressed about what we're eating, we might have digestive problems and we might feel really bad about ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then that creates that cycle, even though there's nothing wrong with that food. And there's nothing wrong with our digestion of that food. It's just stress in our digestion or the emotional weight of that decision on ourselves. And like, we're not feeling that connection with like, I'm in alignment with doing something I appreciated or I valued, right? And so then there's like extra layers on top of that sometimes it can be nice to say, okay, well, how am I interpreting, right? Observing my observations and saying like, oh, did I look at this objectively, truly objectively and neutrally, or did I look at this saying, I have to always come like my sweet tooth. I'm not saying this is your problem, but I'm just saying like, this is the first example that popped into my head. Like, oh, is my sweet tooth always a problem, right? Like we often say things that implies our sweet tooth is a problem, but it's not a problem, right? Biologically, we're driven for the sweet taste because it's very helpful biologically that we have carbohydrates. Number one, they're super helpful for our brains. And number two, they're a good source of energy and we need that, right? Especially when food is not available all the time. Like that can be a very good way of getting food in, getting the energy in. So it's not a like, oh my gosh, I'm so bad that I have a sweet tooth. It's something to overcome. It's just something that we have. And to bring that back to like, you know, what stories are we telling ourselves? Saying like, hey, I have a sweet tooth. I enjoy sweet tastes. Neutrally, like that's okay, right? Like just bring that back to being like, this is okay.
A little discernment, some grace thrown in there. Like
yes, compassion, right?
Yeah.
Show yourself that compassion.
Oh, I have goosebumps. I'm so excited to get this out. Like people need to hear this. Absolutely.
So when you work with clients, do you walk them through a process? Like, what does that look like?
What does it look like to work with you?
Yeah. We generally start with some kind of awareness, depending on where they are, right? So like if they're new to this, we would start with awareness. We talk about mindset. I always start my clients with mindset, making sure that the mindset is that neutral, all foods fit, no good and bad foods, really looking at things through that weight neutral lens, to avoid opening like a whole nother box of conversation.
Right.
I won't explain all of that in detail, but
that's okay.
Yeah, because I know that was like a loaded thing. So get the mindset down. And then if they want to, then we talk about the gentle nutrition piece once the mindset is really set. Because if we talk about it too early, it's just another diet. If we talk about it, you know, in the context of having all foods fit and really honoring your body and nourishing yourself, and that's really set in a non-diet way, then the gentle nutrition really doesn't have a problem and it has its nice place in nourishing us. But without that mindset piece, it's just another diet. So I try to make sure that that mindset piece is set first. And a lot of times that's the longest part of our process, right? It takes the longest because we have to unlearn and then we have to relearn and we have to practice it so that it's really set in there. And so I have that, like I have some frameworks and tools and things that I take people through in a process, whether you work with me like one-on-one or in my group program. Like, there is that kind of linear process, but it's not like anything, right? When we're learning, it's not like first you learn this one and you got it 100%, and then you learn this one and you never have to go to the first one again. No, it's like this kind of blurry, like, hey, we've moved here, and then like, oh, we have a new feature of this one, so we're going to learn this, and then we go over here, and oh, that's not really applicable to you, so we're going to skip that for now. And so it's kind of wiggly, but yeah, in general, mindset first, then the gentle nutrition.
One of our friends said that it was a new year and we're going to have to face our saboteurs, but you know, we've leveled up, but so have they. So that's why when we reface it, it's like, okay, they've leveled up now because we leveled up. So, you know, you got to keep working with it. So being aware of that, I thought that was great, especially in the realms of PTSD, just being aware that even though we've worked through all these triggers and we're not feeling triggered all the time, that we might have to rework some of those again, depending on the situation. I think that's the same idea, right?
Yeah. And I think you get to the easy ones first, right? Like quote unquote easy, or the surfacey ones. And then you get to like the deep ones. They're the only ones left after a while, right? And so like those can take a while, you know?
Dang it, I did all the easy stuff.
Now I gotta do the
Yes.
hard stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. It's like the analogy that comes up is like sifting through the sand. First you dig out the rocks, right? Those are the big pieces.
Right.
And then you start finding little pieces of shells and things like that. And the bits get smaller and smaller and smaller.
And now we're like
And then-
sifting out white sand from dark sand, the brown sand, right? Like as you get
It does get harder, but I find that most
the rewards.
Yeah.
The rewards are bigger,
Mhm.
which is where you're seeing people do that transformation, right?
Mhm.
In that shorter period of time.
Mhm.
Oh, that's cool.
That is cool.
That's cool. Do you have like one tip you would want to give someone today?
Yeah, I'll give the one that I usually leave people with. And that's when we're thinking of awareness, especially a really great question to ask around awareness, or to bring up some other information that you may or may not do anything with, right? Doesn't mandate a decision. But just to bring up some extra information is, what is the most nourishing thing that I can do for me right now?
I love
What's the
that.
most nourishing thing I can do for me right now?
And looking at it from a point of nourishment. I think that's so amazing, because I might need to be nourishing my heart. And so maybe I just need a hug. And so, what, I love that.
I like that word.
That resonates really good.
Yeah.
I like that.
Nourishing.
Yeah.
What is the most nourishing thing I can do for myself right now?
I feel
That's
like that's a
awesome.
boom mic drop situation.
Yeah.
And I love this. This is right along with our 4 agreements.
Mhm.
We love the book, The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And
It's our 4 pillars. Don't take anything personally. Always do your best.
don't make assumptions.
And
We did it earlier.
don't make something. Always do your best.
Be impeccable.
Be impeccable with your word.
So if
Very
you're
important.
doing your best and you are not making an assumption about the food that's in front of you, I was like, oh, that's a big one, because I feel like that's what we're doing, right? We've culturally have all these assumptions about food and what it does to our bodies. Then there's so much misinformation, right?
What's
So-
healthy, what's not? Diets have changed from year to year, day to day. Organic, inorganic, GMO, non-GMO.
Oh, the whole fat-free versus low-fat versus, oh my gosh. Yeah. It's like the
Vegetarian,
80s are flying at
gluten-free.
me.
It's all
Right. Flu cards.
Right? And so it's so much better when you can just be like, okay, wait, apart from all the fads, what do I need? How do I know what I need? And learning those skills, right? That's so much easier.
And it's so much easier to ask yourself, what do I need? What makes me feel good? What fills me? And what gives me life and energy? Because it's different for every person.
Yeah.
It's different for every person.
And our biological beings are each a different biological being. So I could totally see that. Like, that makes sense, because it's not going to be a one size fits all, even though they're like, have this many grains, this many fruits, this many vegetables, and do the thing and the thing and the thing. Yeah.
Which is taught to us culturally, it starts in preschool with food, trying to teach kids food choices and things like that. I was a former preschool teacher. And so I think about all these different courses and things that we had to teach the kids based on nutrition. And I'm like, that's not really teaching them what they need. It's teaching them good food, bad food. Well, there's no bad food, right?
It's like
So-
interesting that
Mm.
it starts early, like you're like from the beginning where you
Mm-hmm.
breastfed or bottle fed, and there's emotions about both, like
Mhm.
right there. Wow.
Yeah. It's all the
Whole
things.
topic.
Right, there's so many different ways that this could go into like
Right.
hours and hours of yeah.
And we can go off on tangents and we can do all kinds of things. But Shelly, I want to thank you for your time today and coming and talking with us about our mindset around nutrition. And I love that you are a nutrition mindset coach and you're local here in the Seattle area. If anybody would like to get in contact with you, what is the best way for them to do that?
You can find out more about me on my website, confidentnutritionnow.com.
That's
Excellent.
awesome. Do you work virtually and in person, or one or the other?
Virtually, I do a lot of events in person still, but most of my client work is done virtually for now.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Excellent. That opens up a whole new world of flexibility for you.
Excellent.
It does.
It's been a great episode today. I hope you all enjoyed your time with Shelly as much as we have. It's been great to have this conversation. This is definitely one we've always had passion about.
Mhm.
Talking about our relationships and mindsets around food is essential.
Mhm.
We all need to do it. I believe in the book that you were referencing, they have some chapters on like how to unparent yourself, how to unparent your mess ups if you have small children, if you wanted to instill these qualities in them from a young age. So I recommend the book. I've just started it, which was kismet timing. So absolutely love it.
Mhm.
And so there's that.
And
So
if you are looking for a nutrition mindset coach, reach out to Shelly. She's just as amazing in person as she is on camera and on audio. So I hope you all enjoyed. And coming up next is our information about our cause of the quarter, which is very near and dear to our hearts. We always feel like it's really important as entrepreneurs to be giving back. So let's check them out next. We love you and we'll see you next time. Namaste.
The Marysville Police Foundation is a 501c3 organization to support these areas of the Marysville Police Department: law enforcement, officer wellness, and the community outreach programs and activities. We look forward to serving you.
We take the mystery and pain out of social media consistency for your business, giving you back time to shine in your zone of genius. Social media is the new branding. It deserves its own attention, thought, and effort. Yet so few businesses actually take this seriously and invest enough time on their strategy. We can do it for you at an affordable rate that will fit into your budget and allow you to pursue other revenue channels as well. The hardest part of social media management is keeping up the consistency to be seen and know what to post, when to post. Are you ready to have everything ready to go for you, saving you time and energy by not having to do it all yourself? Still getting your message out so that people get to know you, like you, and develop trust while opening yourself up to more time for the business of your business where you shine. Working with Women in Leadership, BSMB LLP, is a unique experience that bridges the gap from face-to-face to virtual relationship marketing. Not only do we love to help you shine on social media, we love to share tools to help you grow with us, body, soul, mind, and business. Check out our podcast and YouTube channel for Mindset Mondays, Social Media Training Wednesdays, business interviews and special topics on Fridays, and weekly readings on Sundays. To schedule your consultation or podcast interview, head to our website, www.womeninleadershipbsmb.com. Our weekly readings on Sunday, our podcast, Mindset Monday, social media training with Heather on Wednesdays, guest interviews and special topics on Fridays. Thank you for joining us. Find out more and schedule with us online at www.womeninleadershipbsmb.com, where you have a spot at the table. Thank you for joining in on the fun. Be sure to like and subscribe for more.